Bob Mills Weather Center, Oklahoma weather expert, Lacey Swope.
And it is a Category 4 as
Yes.
you're waking up this morning. That's kind of the big headline too, Lacey.
It has strengthened very rapidly in the last just few hours. The eye wall completely reorganized, strengthened back with winds now in excess of 140 miles per hour. So the latest impacts as you're waking up this morning, the eye will make landfall south of Tampa from Sarasota basically down to Fort Myers between about noon and 7 p.m. It's going to take a long time for it to scoot onshore, and that's the window where the winds will be the most ferocious. The total with this thing, some areas 25 plus inches of rain, storm surge up to 12 feet, and winds to at least 140 miles per hour, and already close to a dozen tornadoes. Let me show you a live shot from Naples, Florida, just getting battered right now with the big waves coming on in. Just offshore, waves are about 20 feet high, and these waves are going to continue to get higher over the next few hours, close to sunrise, and the wind has already started to ramp up. Let me show you the video of just one of the tornadoes from yesterday. There were multiple tornadoes. Now, thankfully, back to the south and west of Miami, there's not a lot of folks that live out there. It's a lot of marshland. There were some damage in a couple of the tornadoes. They're typically fairly brief. That was a pretty long-lasting one yesterday. So just something to add to what's going on with the wind and the waves. Already over 50,000 customers in the state of Florida without power. 20,000 of those are near the Miami area, and these numbers will just skyrocket as we go through the day today. Across Oklahoma, our weather pattern still very quiet, kind of tranquil this morning, and there's a cold front moving in. Meanwhile, down in Florida, there is Ian, Category 4 currently, and we'll zoom it in. Look at the eye off the coast of Cape Coral. That's going to be coming up towards Sarasota and making its way up towards Fort Myers, moving in later this morning around lunchtime. So here we go. The movement's at about 10 miles per hour. The pressure has dropped. We're measuring winds in excess of 130, 140 during right around the eye of that hurricane. So what happens is the thing moves closer to land, over the coast, and the winds pick up. The strongest winds will occur, then it'll get dead quiet and silent as the eye moves over, and then the winds will pick back up on the backside of the system. So it's going to be several hours of horrible conditions here coming up for Florida. Across Oklahoma, we're in the 50s and low 60s. We're sunny, we're clear. Man, we could use some of that rain. 67 degrees in Guthrie, 67 in Byers. We keep talking about the fire threat and the drought that's only getting worse. 60 degrees in Stillwater, 62 in Hobart. Now today the winds are going to be a little bit variable. Out of the south and then eventually out of the east, our temperatures warming into the 80s and low 90s once again, just adding to the dry conditions because these temps keep getting hotter. 91 in Ardmore. Now this front does push in as we head into the afternoon and evening. It'll make us cooler for tomorrow. Not as cool as what they're dealing with around the Great Lakes. Those are 30s, and the jet stream winds again steering Ian back out over the Atlantic, and eventually it tries to come back in to the Carolinas later this weekend. Current wave heights, when you take a look at the Gulf, now upwards of 25 feet. Not very far. That's like 40 miles off the coast of Florida. That's how high the waves are. By the time we get to about lunchtime, here comes the Cat 4 making landfall near Port Charlotte, near Gulf Gate Estates, and back down to Cape Coral. And then this thing goes up over Orlando as a Cat 1. Hurricane warnings are in effect for Orlando, Florida, with this thing crossing over and eventually over to Cape Canaveral. It'll be interesting to see what's going on at Cape Canaveral as we head into the evening hours and the overnight hours. As far as storm surge goes, we talk about the amount of rain and the wind, but just the ocean rising upwards of 12 feet with another 12 to 20 inches of rain on top of that. So catastrophic flooding in some areas. And then bringing it back closer to home, I mentioned this thing just puts our weather pattern kind of in a holding pattern for the next several days, and that's what we're seeing. Unfortunately, taking you into the weekend, and the burn ban counties, the list keeps growing. Now we've added Seminole County, we've added Cimarron County as well to the counties where burning is illegal, and this list continues to grow. Tonight we're in the 50s and 60s. Tomorrow, low 80s, some 70s for highs in eastern Oklahoma, and then on Friday, lower mid 80s once again. Now we do creep back up. You'll notice the highs getting hotter into the upper 80s, approaching the 90s to start next week. So the first full week of October, guys, still looks warm and dry for us. Back to you.